Last week, we spoke about the 5 Ps of success. If you didn't see that live, go check it out. The week before that, we've failure proofed your mindset. So you were so ready to take on any little humps and bumps along the food freedom journey. And this week, we're going to talk about the hacks, the little neuro-hacks. And I hate that word, but you know what? It's just true that if you understand your neurobiology and your psychology, then you can deploy these little hacks to get the results as quickly as possible. Given that doing anything and changing any behavior, let alone something as complicated and tricky as overeating, can take some time, it doesn't mean we can't get the results as quickly as is reasonably possible with the tools that we have. If you are joining me for the first time, my name's Helen Bennett. I specialize in helping people identify the root cause of their overeating, and then we heal that. We get into the real cause of overeating. And no, it's not just that you are broken or you need more willpower or you're greedy. It's not that at all. And if you'd like to hear a bit more about what the deeper problems are, you can check out my masterclass. The link is in the bio, or just go to foodfreedomfoundations.com, where there's a big fat masterclass where I go deep into the real reasons we overeat and how to solve them. So assuming you are ready to do the deeper work, you have a strategy, a proven strategy that works, you've failure-proofed your mindset, and you know exactly how to ensure that you succeed no matter what. Now we get to have fun, and we just get to get you the results faster. So I've got a bunch of things for you to hear about today that you can deploy immediately, and some of them you might know and some of them you might not. And then I've got some really, really practical things as well, which I think you're going to love. So let's start at the top. The most important one, oh my God, and this is going to be so boring, is as you're doing the work, as you're deploying all the practical steps that you need to do, whether that be the journaling or the tummy check-ins or whatever it is, as you're doing that work, you want to be making sure that you are getting some deep, restful, powerful sleep. So prioritizing your sleep is so important. Why? Why? Because that's actually when the brain rewires. That is the time in our deep, restful sleep that our brain takes all the information of the day and lays down those new neural pathways towards freedom and finds all those old pathways that haven't been used before for a while: overeating, binge eating, stress eating, snack accidents. And it realizes that's not being done so much anymore. So it either repurposes those brain cells or it kills them off completely. So what a pleasure. The good news is your brain is completely capable of actually rewiring, recoding your nervous system to react in a new habitual way to the exact same triggers. That's why you can get to a place where you can have just one bite of chocolate and put it down, and that's that. That's why you can get to a place with the same triggers that would have guaranteed you overate in the past just simply don't kick off anymore. The power of our brains to change is incredible, and it's never too late. You are never too old. That silly phrase that you can't teach an old dog new tricks is absolutely rubbish. Does it take a bit longer in clients who are older? Absolutely. Yes, it does. And that's okay. But nonetheless, keep an open mind, because you might be surprised just by how quickly things can change, particularly when you get yourself 100% behind them, when you've done all this mental work and you're ready to take action and you're ready to experience any bumps and humps along the way, of which there will be many. That was one of the 5 Ps. Then it's cool. Then all we got to do is play the game. We got to show up and do the work, and we got to make sure we're getting some really good rest, so that in the evenings, all the new positive actions that you've taken, all the new changes you've made to your mindset, to your emotional regulation, to your relationship with food, all those times you felt a craving and you breathed through it and walked away and you didn't give in, because at the beginning stages of this journey, there will be cravings. And that's your brain very cleverly set up to go, oh, we've always done this behavior multiple times before, if not thousands and thousands of times. And usually there's a pleasurable reward at the end in the form of food or feeling a bit of relief or slowing down. Then it's going to want you to do that again. And that feeling of craving, that desire, that sort of what can be a bit of a suck fest when you're trying to ignore a dopamine tantrum. As you move through those and you get through them, your brain goes, oh my goodness, she didn't act in the way that she usually does. And eventually it just stops giving you those cravings, provided, of course, that you are adequately nourished. This is the first part of the program is about that I teach is about setting you up to learn how to hear your hunger and fullness again, so you can make sure that your body's not screaming for nourishment that it actually needs, because that feeling ain't going anywhere. But when you're actually feeding yourself beautifully and you're able to then work on all the non-hunger urges, getting good sleep, so important, because that's where the changes happen. So the better you're sleeping and the more committed you are to getting to bed, even if you struggle to sleep, just getting that deep rest is the place in which your brain can do all the repairs and maintenance, getting rid of the old program, installing the new one, which is what we want. So that's the first one. It's such a biggie. It's the one we all overlook. But man, if sleep's where we're getting the changes and you just had a killer day, a smashing day with food, you navigated all the urges and you got through all the old triggers, boy, oh boy, please get to bed ASAP and get some deep, good quality sleep, because you want all those changes to be hardwired into your nervous system so you don't have to use all this effort and energy in the future. The next one is, it's going to sound a bit woo-woo, but we're going to roll with it. I won't go deep into it, but believe it or not, there's something about visualization. A lot of you, oh no, don't make me visualize. But visualizing what it will feel like, this is the key. I think it's not even a visual thing. Yes, the imagery is important. But when I work with people, what I try and do is help them feel what freedom feels like, feeling it in that sort of emotional nervous system, feeling the freedom of what it is to wake up and not worry about food, feeling what it is to feel good in your body and healthy and happy and free, feeling what it is to go to a restaurant and not care what somebody thinks about what you order, whether it be the salad when everybody else is having a burger or a burger when everybody else is having the salad, because you just feel so trusting of your body. That feeling is the visualization. So it's a shame it's called visualization. It needs to have another word, feelization. But if you can feel your vision, if you can feel what it feels like to be free, and you bring that in, you practice feeling it with such clarity, you can smell the air around you, you can feel how it feels in your body, you can experience what peace and freedom feels like in your nervous system. What weird happens is you start to manifest it, and you'll be drawn into the things that will help you feel that more often and faster. So visualization is a powerful tool. But again, it's not just about seeing what your world looks like or seeing your body in a bikini. It's feeling what it is to be feeling good in your skin, feeling confident around all food, feeling like you don't even have a trigger when you're at a buffet. That's how you want to feel, that level of freedom. Condition that into your nervous system, and by some magic of the universe, you'll be drawn more and more and more into that space until one day you'll forgot you did all this visualization practice, and you'll sort of clock yourself going, oh my God, this is it. I'm here. I'm in this experience that I imagined. So cool. The third one, oh, I love this one. It's all about pleasure. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. You'll feel my energy when I do these videos. Unlike a lot of other, nothing that there's wrong with them, but a lot of emotional eating or overeating coaches and therapists, etc., come at the topic in a kind of sad and, well, not sad, but like a calm and relaxed way, which is a good thing. And maybe I could bring more of that in. But what I've realized is that the more we laugh, the more we experience joy along this journey, the more we're experiencing pleasure as we work towards freedom, the better. And here's the thing. This isn't just about me and my experience. This is a function of human neurobiology. Is we are wired, we are designed to move away from pain and towards pleasure. Now, for the most part, you'll know that because if you're struggling with overeating, no matter which form it takes, the overeating has in so many ways been a pleasurable experience until it wasn't, until it became filled with shame and stress and fear and anxiety, etc. But ultimately, the spoiler alert of this work is we're never really self-sabotaging. We're always doing something to get ourselves away from a greater pain, even if the pain of eating is coming with shame and guilt. When we do the work, we realize what we were actually running from. And, as Julian, I can't think of his surname, is a guy I follow on Instagram. I feel terrible because I just watched one of his reels and I'm going to steal it now. He says, given the option, would you cut off your arm or cut off your hand? And of course, we'd all choose our hand, right? So the overeating is much like that. We don't necessarily know it yet. And that's my job, is to help you figure out and discover what's been driving the overeating. Because it's not just lazy. If we're given the choice of cutting off our arm or cutting off our hand, we'll choose our hand, and food becomes the hand. Even though it's painful, even though we don't like the outcomes of it, even if we hate the experience, our logic can't outwit us. Our nervous system is designed to help us, protect us from pain, and move us towards pleasure. And our work is to heal the deeper pain, so you're not constantly trying to escape it, while also breaking these habits, these hardwired habits, in response to triggers that would make us overeat. Habits die hard, as they say. And if we have had a habit of experiencing a certain trigger, like a difficult conversation, and we reach for food to feel a bit better, even if we got really good at experiencing difficult conversations, we wouldn't necessarily stop the overeating unless we were ready to break the power of this habit loop, the dopamine surge, to rewire, to change the neurochemistry. And where was I going with this? With pleasure. Oh, so in order to do that, we have to get through some discomfort, and we will get to the other side and rewire it as long as there's pleasure on the other side of it. So if we were to change that habit loop, and now you've got to sit with some discomfort of dealing with the dopamine tantrum, what can we put on the other side that is so pleasurable that, given the choice, we will naturally want to move in that direction, or that it's so pleasurable that our brain starts evaluating the options and starts putting dopamine on the side of freedom? That's what we want. We want to be so delighted by our experience of freedom and the journey that we're on to have it, that our brain just naturally starts loading the dopamine receptors, pointing us in the direction of freedom. Now, because we're used to using food as a reward, we don't want to use food as the reward for getting through the binge urges, right? So what can we do? Oh gosh, there's so many different things, and I'd love you to be creative with this. But the goal is to give yourself pleasure at the other side of a difficult thing. The goal is to make the toughest things pleasurable by having ways of rewarding yourself. Now, that might be as simple as having a calendar with little like stickers or smiley faces or something like that you can mark off for every day that you've had a really good day with food, or for every time you've managed to get through an uncomfortable urge to overeat, but you made it through the other side until the urge was gone. It can look like having a jar full of pebbles or beads or something like that. So when you've noticed you've had a nasty little urge to overeat in response to an old trigger, and you're trying to change that pattern, and you get to the other side, you put a pebble in a jar, and maybe you have big pebbles for the really challenging ones and small pebbles for the less challenging ones, so that you can just fill up that jar. And what it does is it gives us this lovely little dopamine hit of sort of achievement, and especially a positive achievement, where we can actually step back and view what we're creating, so that on a hard day we can look at it and go, oh yes, I can see all the work that I'm doing. Even if I'm having a hard day today, every pebble is a moment of habit change. And I know my biology, and I know that for every pebble, that's brain rewiring that's happening. And my freedom is inevitable, provided I just keep putting pebbles in the jar and I attach a lot of enjoyment to them. And sometimes putting the pebble in the jar alone, the desire to put the pebble in the jar, can outwin an urge. And I've had this. So I had a binge busting account, and I would allocate, say, the equivalent of $5 every time I got through a difficult old trigger, and I could feel the urge to overeat, and I moved through the other side. And as I saw that account grow, it was my evidence of the freedom that was inevitable. And I just enjoyed the reward of putting the money in the account at the end of the day, so that when I was faced with an uncomfortable urge, I had this choice I had to make between giving into the urge, which gave me a bit of pleasure at the time, or getting the pleasure of putting the $5 in the account. And I love saving money, so that worked for me. Everybody will have different rewards, because it's got to speak to you. Not everybody will be motivated by pebbles in a jar or stickers on a calendar or whatever, or money in a bank account. But if you can find something to reward yourself for hard work, to make it so pleasurable to get through the difficult stuff, that it's worth it, that it will compete with that urge, awesome. Now, caveat on that novelty will wear off. So you want to deploy it very specifically at a time where you're going to need that extra additional va-va-voom to get you moving in the right direction. And be okay with deploying it just for a period of a month or so that you can really get the benefits of that enjoyment, that experience. But it's all about attaching pleasure. And that can be done in so many ways. Like if you're experiencing an uncomfortable desire to overeat, it's not hunger, you're not hungry, you've checked that. but now there's some other trigger. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe somebody's just said something, maybe whatever. And you're feeling that desire to overeat. You've caught it. And now you want to try and ride it out. Play some music, phone a friend, put a pebble in a jar, whatever it takes to create a bit of excitement at doing what you want to do. I want to show you one more thing, actually. Let me just turn the camera around. So if you see there, you can see this board. So I've been building out a huge program online with worksheets and all that good stuff. And it's so much work, and building my business and the whole thing. And it's so much work that I needed a way to inspire myself to do the work. And not that I needed to be inspired, but I needed to feel the rewards that I coach about. And because it's such a big journey, I broke it down into lots of little steps. And then I created all those Post-it notes. And on the left-hand side were all the things, are all the things that I need to do. And I just keep adding to it. And on the right, and the middle column is the ones that have been done. And then on the far right-hand column are the results, the benefits, the outcomes of doing those things. So when work gets hard, or when we think, oh God, I've got so much to do, and is it even worth it? And you will feel this on your journey of food freedom. And you check your board, or you check your pebbles, or you check your bank account, you see this visual representation of something that's moving in the right direction. The results are inevitable, provided you're getting those, in my case, Post-its across the line. And it's so weird, but I get such a huge kick of bringing the Post-it note from the left-hand side into the middle. And then to do one for the far right-hand side is a dream, when I see like a great benefit that's come out of the work that I'm doing. So I can't encourage you enough to find ways to make this experience of changing your relationship with food as enjoyable as possible, because your brain will naturally create habit pathways faster, and it will put dopamine on the side of freedom. And the more you can stick that molecule of motivation, the molecule of more, into freedom and away from food, the better. Now, there's a converse to this, and that's pain. We'll move away from pain and towards pleasure. That's what our neurobiology or neurochemistry is designed to do. And I don't generally use this one too much, because most people are in so much pain already when they come to me, with so many years or decades of overeating and the shame and the health impacts and all of the relationship impacts, all of it, that we don't actually need to drag them through much more pain. And pain can turn very easily into self-flagellation, self-loathing, self-criticism. It's exactly what we want to try and stay away from in this work. So you can try and use pain as a way to get you out of overeating and into freedom, but I would use it sparingly. And I would use it with some professional support, because we don't want to be spiraling into self-flagellation. You've been through enough. You don't need to hate yourself anymore. But one of the things you can do, for example, let's say there's this very specific thing you want to work on. Let's say 5 o'clock every day tends to be your danger zone, the day, part of the day where you struggle. So you come up with a habit loop you want to start practicing. You want to make sure you're well fed, and now you're going to keep practicing that habit loop every time. Now, let's say one day you just completely forget to do it, or you think bugger it and you end up overeating. Without punishing yourself, and there's a fine line here, what you can do is things like, you can choose a charity that you don't like. This is a tricky one, but we'll roll with it. You can choose a charity that you don't like, and you can swear that if you don't do your new behavior, remember, it needs to be kind. This is so important. These behaviors are not meant to be vicious and cruel and self-flagellatory. But if you say you've got this plan that you wanted to do every day, and you miss a day, and you just say, well, if I didn't do it on Tuesday, I'll donate $10 to that charity, like to the politician you hate the most or something. And as long as you stick to that, it will be powerful. But also, it's very important, again, just not to make this something that ends up bringing you pain and cruelty that makes you overeat. So I generally don't use that pain idea, but there have been a few things that I won't divulge, but that I've done with clients that we've suggested to try and move the needle through a very difficult set of habits. And boy, oh boy, it can work like magic. But again, used in small amounts, the novelty will wear off. And the pact you have to have with yourself to actually do it is really important. So like burning $5 is an idea. But the problem is we tend to self-flagellate. So we want to be well away from that. Then the last thing that will help our brains rewire as quickly as possible is doing this work in a social way. So that might look like Duolingo. You've got friend quests and having a accountability buddy, having people cheer you on, congratulate you, support you. Because when we're in a social environment and we're trying something new and we're learning something new, first of all, our brains hate making mistakes. So if we have a bad day, we make a mistake or we don't deliver, especially for us people pleasers, if we say we're going to do something and we don't do it, if there's something we needed to all achieve and I was the only one who didn't submit my worksheet, then it's such an awful feeling that we're likely to do the work because we want to be seen to be, good in front of the team or the social environment that we're working with. And that accountability, that constant checking in, also just knowing that we might have a check-in call with a coaching buddy in the group, on Wednesday, means you're way more likely to do the work that you've been assigned for the week ahead. So using social, both from a pleasurable and a pain perspective, because we don't like to fail, we don't like to fall behind, can be very, very powerful. Again, with the caveat that this work, everybody's on their own journey. Some people are like, make a beeline to freedom. They hardly had any box to get through. Other people, and this was me, it was more like, that's my journey was like this. And then finally I started to break out of the overeating. So we got to be patient with ourselves. So it's not about how fast can I change and can I beat this other person. It's not a race. The accountability should be used purely to get us to just keep consistently showing up and doing the work that we said we were going to do. And another way of doing social change, social learning, and really, this is the fastest way and the most obvious way to speed up the results, is having the accountability and the assistance and support of a professional. So if you were learning any new skill, if you were learning a new sport, or you're wanting to become an astrophysicist, then you probably wouldn't just go onto YouTube and, download some videos, although you absolutely can do that. And some people with a lot of self-discipline are really capable of learning on their own. In fact, they might even prefer it. But for the most part, if there was anything you wanted to improve quickly, the fastest way to get your brain to get behind it and get you to do the work and get the results quickly is through the support of a professional, particularly if that professional is holding you to a high level of accountability and has a really good strategy so you can dodge all the, they've paid the school fees, so you don't have to kind of thing. They probably did that thing before, hopefully, and they know how. And they know how to get you to get results quickly. But also from a brain neurochemistry perspective, again, we love it when we feel good in front of someone else. And we show up and we get results and they're cheering us on or they're helping us navigate and we make it through together. It's like watching a sunset together. It's so much more special when you're with someone. And this journey is the same because it's tricky. And it's lovely being witnessed, both in the difficult days, not lovely to be witnessed then, but it's powerful. And on the days when we succeed, on the day when you show up for your coaching call or whatever you're doing with somebody and you say, oh, the best thing happened. Auntie Sue said this and this the other day. And usually in the past, I would have run straight for the crisps. And today or yesterday, I noticed I didn't even think about the crisps. And then we celebrate together. And of course, professional, like with the social support, you can create a large amount of accountability as well. So on the days that it's hard, on the days that we don't want to do it, we find ourselves trying to avoid the pain of letting somebody down or not having completed the assignment. And so again, our neurochemistry will be pushing us in the direction of change. So, God, I hope those were helpful. I certainly enjoyed sharing them with you. So that was sort of the end of a 3-part series of essentially how to guarantee food freedom. Now, of course, you need a strategy. And of course, in an ideal world, you need a strategy that's proven repeatedly to work. I have that strategy. I have a strategy that works for the people that I work with. And if that's something you'd like to find out about, or you want to jump on a call with me, the link is in the description. Book a call and we'll chat. I am busy releasing the program that I mentioned, all the posted notes. I'm so proud. I've worked so hard and I'm really excited because I've designed the whole program to be done with or without me. So if you are somebody who prefers to do things in a quiet and very self-disciplined way at home, that's an option for you. I know not everybody is ready or enjoys working with other people, and that's totally okay. We just want you to get the results. So have a strategy, because another diet is not a strategy, and watching YouTubes but not actually having a program that's working systematically to get the results is not a strategy. What you need is a step-by-step system that's proven to work. And then you use these last 3 lives. So the things that can get you to wire your brain quickly, how to make sure your mindset is ready for all the humps and bumps along the way, and the 5 Ps, the 5 principles that you can sort of encode into your nervous system to ensure that you're guaranteed results in anything you put your mind to, but certainly food freedom. So watch the last 3 lives, including this one, and you'll have the sort of whole package there. And all you need to do is pair that with a strategy that works, whether it's coaching with me or my program or with another coach or another whatever book that has got people loads of results. Doesn't matter. Pick your strategy and then deploy. If you have any questions, as always, you can pop them in the chat. I'm here and ready to answer them. And if you enjoyed that video, that live, and you got value from it, please smash the like button so that I can get my little dopamine kick, but also so that YouTube can recommend this to other people who are struggling with overeating. Subscribe to the channel. We would love that if you haven't done it already, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it. To your food freedom. I will catch you next Monday live at lunch, everybody. Adios.